Red 2 standing by, all for lit, and in the green. Welcome back to Deltarune, where we are on a pretty big adventure. We're on a major challenge coming up against the secret boss of Chapter 1. Jevil had already tested my patience a little bit, I'm going to admit, because honestly, this was a tough time. The patterns are not anything I'm used to because I am not very good at bullet hell games. And this is one serious bullet hell fight, honestly. I had nearly been tempted to just sort of give up and leave it be, but unfortunately I'm incredibly stubborn. So, once again, we set out trying to succeed. The plan had been figured out. That we had to spin around with either the pirouette or use the hypnosis skill and take on Jevil that way. How did it go? Well, it took quite some time and several playthroughs. So, we'll find out how it all went. And yeah, a lot's going to be post-commented because I didn't say much. During the recording, anyway. So the recording is obviously sped up a fair bit because this took about 50 minutes all told. Now, I did end up finding out very little about this. I really don't know how everything works because one of the problems I've got with this fight is that you are stuck relying on the pirouette ability, which is really, really bothersome on account of the fact it just seems to throw a whole lot of random crap at you. I mean, you kind of need to use it, but the problem is that it makes a lot of strange things happen and they don't always go in your favour. You'll get nothing sometimes. Sometimes you'll get Jevil's attacks powered up. Sometimes you'll reduce his defense, which admittedly didn't help me, so I don't know, maybe it's possible that you can actually beat him up. I genuinely don't know. But there are also things like switching people's HP around, which was a real pain in the butt, because it's like, oh great, everybody's stuck on 1 HP and now I've just got random values all over the place, I don't know what's going on. And it always seemed to power up his best attacks, which didn't help because I really did not have much experience in actually figuring out what the tells for each of his attacks were. It turned into an absolute nightmare, but I was getting very persistent. I mean, I had nearly rage quit after a few tries that you saw in episode 8, but I didn't want to give up. Something just made me stubbornly keep going. We had to spin to win. I'd figured out that was the main tactic. Apparently, Jevil really likes to target Ralsei because, admittedly, he's not stupid. He must know that Ralsei's the healer and is able to act accordingly. I mean, it's pretty much stock standard video game stuff that you actually wind up targeting the healer, getting them out of the way, especially if your enemies are able to heal. It's the thing in Falsebound Kingdom. You have to take out the units with medicine, or at least confuse them to stop them using it. It's the goal in pretty much any RPG, really. Take out the enemy healing, because when they do have healing options, it's a real pain in the butt, and it's never fun facing off against that. I mean, admittedly, you can heal a lot, but the problem is, the enemy usually has a lot more HP than you, so healing can set you back a fair bit, depending on circumstances. I mean, sometimes we can get full heals, but it's not very often things like that happen. So it was really just sort of frantically run around, try and dodge, work out if there are any patterns to anything, or if it is just random chaos, and go from there, and it was a real heck of a time. That said, I have dragged myself through some pretty frustrating and time-consuming challenges. I managed to complete the Pokédex in White 2 version, which was a heck of a time. I undertook the challenge to hit Orca 1,000 times in Swords training, twice in the Wind Waker. Once just to see if I could actually do it, and then the second time to prove that I still had the skills. It's not easy, especially since you're halfway there if you're going for the heart piece anyway, so you might as well keep going. Like, it's time consuming, but it's been done. And so I thought, I've got to persevere on this. Because, well, part of it is because I wanted to do it for the sake of my friend. To actually put in the effort to try and get everything I can out of this game. Because I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know how much longer I'll do this after Chapter 2, if I do wind up doing more of it. I believe I may well wind up playing it in my own time, and I did wind up being able to read a few attacks to a degree. I would probably get myself in a bit of trouble, but I think ultimately it's fair. You just have to learn a lot. You really do just have to learn a lot to try and get through this particular fight. Very dynamic and honestly very, very good music. As I've said, the music in this game is really impressive. I do keep thinking that the music in Card Castle is going to go into Metroid's Norfair theme. And funnily enough, I do prefer the original Norfair theme. Like, they had a remix in Metroid Zero Mission, which I don't mind. I don't like the version they did in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and Norfair in Super is alright, but I don't know, there's just something I prefer about the Metroid original. They captured the atmosphere and ambience of being alone on a desolate planet so well. It was really nicely done. It was a very, very impressive result. Like, a lot of people, hopefully a lot of people anyway, would say that I don't think they've quite captured the essence of Kraid's lair from the original. They've had some very good versions, but it's almost the perfect you are alone and lost in an alien environment theme. And then this is sort of, it comes in with that sort of crazy circus theme. It's really neat. It's really creative. It feels sort of chaotic and energetic, but it still boosts you. You might get a bit frustrated with what it represents, but you're like, I hate you for making this so frustrating, but I also appreciate the fact it's a banger of a fight, and the music is legitimately good. I think Toby Fox ended up doing a few tracks for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as well. So honestly, as frustrating as this was, I wanted to keep going. You do have to vent your frustration sometimes, but you probably don't want to listen to me complaining about all that. Because, quite frankly, I'm not the best to listen to when I get angry. I do start blowing off steam a bit, but I'm trying to make sure I just don't, honestly. And yeah, looking back through this, I really have not figured out how on earth you're supposed to wind up dodging some of these attacks. You would need a lot of practice. Like, if you actually were going to wind up fighting Jevil and beating him, I assumed that you'd have to be so good at predicting his attacks. And honestly, I just have no idea how I'm going to do that in the long term. So, yeah, I just decided I'm going to have to stick. Maybe there is something if you are legitimately good enough to beat him in a straight fight, but I'm not. So we just tried our best and slowly worked through things, hoping that I wouldn't get stitched up too much. Which, yeah, we're already on about try 6, I think. But yeah, a lot of dodging, and it was really annoying because I don't actually know how much defending does. It gives me TP, but that's about it. And hopefully I get access to some better healing spells. I do kind of feel like the fact that you do have to face Jevil with this sort of crappy, no extra experience thing is part of what makes this so difficult. Because you just doing a lot of guesswork with. You don't have the really good equipment that you can use to gain a significant advantage. Which is a little bothersome, but we tried. And yeah, I kept getting upcoming attack will hurt rapidly or the next attack is powered up. It felt like always at the worst time. And there's also a little issue I noted with the Dance Defender the party, because if somebody does something else, I think we wind up stepping out of our defense pose, which is a pain in the butt. You can see that Jevil's mixing up a few attacks at this point, so I'd obviously been doing something right somewhere along the way. We did get a little bit of healing back. He's changing his attacks up quite a bit as well, and a Chaos Bomb is coming. So we basically had to avoid a whole lot of attacks. He's throwing out every suit he can. And he does say that he's tired, but he's blatantly lying. There's worse coming along. You still have to dodge a lot of powerful attacks. That one is wild. I'm not exactly sure what happens there. But yeah, he was frantic at this point. I kind of had to heal the team because I didn't really know what to do. I had to guess. We got the carousel, which wasn't great, so I had a handful of healing items. But I think ultimately I had to wind up trying to tire him out. I got a long way, and I just ran out of healing items. There was not a lot I could do. And then we actually got to the point where I could pacify him. And Ralsei was dead. I felt so angry. I'd finally fought my way through all the bull dust, and that happened. That was irritating. All we had to do was keep spinning the wheel, taking a chance, and, well, in this case, every journey would not start a new romance. We just had to keep trying and hope we didn't get clobbered. There was a lot to go through. Every effort, it was getting a little bit better each time. But at the same time, it was just really tricky because I'd sometimes wind up dodging myself into a corner. There were occasions where I'd just sort of think I'd got something right and it just didn't really go. There's no real easy way to do it. You just have to get good. Which I suppose is pretty much par for the course on any game. It's just particularly challenging because still not going to be that good at bullet hell. I mean, I got my butt kicked by rabbits earlier on. So a lot of attempts were just going to end in distinct failure, and I was very nearly ready to just give up. I did at one point try to get some advice from the manual, and that didn't work. And I realized that I can't call on the cell phone, it just made a horrible crackling noise. And I also didn't really have the ability to do anything with the glow shard. It's basically like a nugget in the Pokemon game. So I needed better healing items, and who better to get them from than Rules Card himself, who I am looking forward to seeing again because it gives me an opportunity to be a complete and utter ham. He does have better healing items, and admittedly I didn't want to go all the way back to the shop that Shaum runs. I got a little bit lost, and we basically just had to take the elevator back down, which I screwed up. So, slightly better healing items in tow, we just had to keep trying. I was considering looking for just about anything else. Any secrets for better armor. Something that would have let me get an opportunity to actually handle this boss. And it just wasn't working. I just had to take him on with what I had, get maybe better healing items, and just improve my skills as we took another turn at taking him on. And things usually took a turn for the worse. Sure, getting beaten up kind of helped in some senses, but yeah, just a lot... Wait a minute, am I trying too hard to dodge those attacks? So, I presume there's always a spot where you can actually dodge them, but I just wonder, do I need to stay in the middle of that spade pirouette attack? The one where it sort of spins around the circle? I suppose I might need to watch the footage back and see if I actually do get any information, because it could help. I mean, I'm probably not going to do this again in all fairness. I like the game, but I don't know exactly how much I'd really do. Like, I've been getting close to getting the all the unique moons in the Odyssey. But, I don't know, for some reason, I nearly called it Champion's Road, but it's Darker Side of the Moon. That kind of broke me for some reason. I mean, admittedly, my mental health wasn't very good at the time, so that really didn't help. But it's just sort of felt like it could be done. I don't know what it was that made me want to focus on this. Maybe I just sort of gave up on Odyssey because too much of it was getting to be the same. It had been a bit wearing and the challenge was genuinely frustrating. This was a pain in the butt. I was cursing my head off, mentally anyway. But I was still pushing on. There were ways that you could learn some of the attacks, but at the same time, it's also sort of, you know that you have to exploit this mechanic to beat him. Because I genuinely did not believe I could beat him in a straight fight, because he could out-damage me and his HP is ridiculously high. Basically, I'm thinking we're going through... No, I don't think you have to find sort of the middle of each attack on that one. But basically, it's like, okay, I have to use this mechanic to defeat him, because I genuinely don't know still if you can actually handle him in a straight fight. But it's like, I have to keep using this particular mechanic if I want to wear him out. But at the same time, using that mechanic is also screwing me over really badly, because it either gives me absolutely nothing, it gives me something I can't use, or it's letting him kick my ass with greater ease. You very, very rarely get the healing. I wound up running into the everybody's health gets jumbled up effect, and it was kind of frustrating. It just drove me nuts, because it leaves you on 1 HP, which means, like, it happens, you don't expect it to happen, and then you get your backside handed to you. I probably should be able to say you get your ass handed to you. But, yeah, basically, you wind up getting absolutely pummeled using the mechanics that you are supposed to employ to defeat your opponent. It's interesting to note that I actually I brought up a reference for Earthbound. But it's like, there's the rolling HP mechanic in that game. You actually wind up using that to your advantage sometimes. Yes, it's a strange and janky mechanic, but it's basically a case of, yeah, you wind up being able to utilize that to your advantage, and in fact you have to learn how to use that to your advantage in order to defeat some enemies or to heal yourself from lethal damage, which is actually really creative. In this case, it's like, okay, I've got all these things that I have to do, but they're also actively screwing me over. So yeah, I was getting really, really fed up. I could drag the fight out, but I had to keep tiring him out, and it was not easy. Yeah, there is always a little circular section on that attack, so I at least might have something on that attack. But everything else, especially the bloody carousel and the club rocket launcher thing, that I have no idea about. So I just had to persevere, yet, as I mentioned, I ironically wound up finding out that having Ralsei with the most HP was a big advantage, because yeah, of course it helps having a healer be able to take a few more attacks. It's genuinely beneficial. But yeah, you have to get past those dangerous attacks. You have to get to a situation where you can start to face the bigger attacks. The Chaos Bomb, the big scythe laser thingy, and eventually you can make it. I was getting closer. I felt like I was starting to get closer, but it was still burning at me. Still wasn't the most fun, if I'm going to be honest. But I was giving it my best. I'd got up to this bit again. It was going nuts dodging everything. That one's not particularly helpful because it doesn't really give me any information on sort of how much I'm doing to it. And yeah, then he got his attacks powered up and that didn't go very well. It, like I said, it always pulls out the worst possible option at the worst possible time. And yeah, there was no way I was getting through this one. Unfortunately, that attempt ended. I thought I'd had an attempt where I succeeded, but turns out there was actually one more that I screwed up. So it was still a heck of a fight. I was still making a lot of mistakes, unfortunately, or just guessing. But I once again, though I did admittedly get lucky, I still wound up in one of those situations where he gets a really difficult to dodge attack powered up because I had to use the mechanics of the game to defeat him. That is frustrating. The fact that you can just wind up getting screwed over through no fault of your own by trying to defeat him is a right royal pain in the butt. I think I've got the best armor possible for the time. At least I think anyway. Remember, I don't know what I'm doing, which should be evident when I start dodging. Or at least flailing around trying to do whatever passes for dodging. It's a bit of a pain. But we ended up giving it our best shot. Unfortunately, we didn't get too much further. This one went badly. But with that one out of the way, I think we finally got the attempt that worked, which is at normal speed. I still had the plan set up for the most part. It took a little bit of work to figure out, but basically the plan was defend the first time, dodge his attack, and then sort of work from there. I did try and use the pirouette a little bit more, but it didn't necessarily help. It's just sort of, you have to gamble and you have to hope, and the game has a really, really bad habit of stitching you up. Maybe using pirouette each turn could have done something, but I'm not 100% sure how it would have all worked. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what hurt rapidly. Does it mean the attack moves faster? It doesn't look faster, it might just do a bit more damage. But yeah, I'm really, really not sure. Either way, we still had to just sort of give it our best. Everybody tries. That attack, I could read it one way, but not when it mirrored. I was really bad at that. And it's interesting that there is kind of a spot that you can hide, but the attack will actually wind up working that in so that it will catch you off guard. It's pretty creative. It sort of teaches you to not rely too much on safe spots. So you can wind up with the useless bird as one of the issues. With that, with pirouette. And then there's what they call Foley, which is a type of sound effect. Not 100% sure what that is exactly, but we eventually made a bit of progress. Not a lot of progress, but basically it was like, heal the two tankier members of the party and we can keep Ralsei out of the way. It was slow going, but probably could have been using hypnosis a bit more, but pirouette was a real gamble. This at least let me heal Ralsei, but it did wind up leaving Chris stuck on 1 HP. Which I suppose isn't too bad. Like, Ralsei's at least got tanking power when this happens. It's always a bit of a gamble working out what to do as well. Because you don't know what's going on. And yeah, then you wind up having stuff like that happen. Always on the worst one, isn't it? It's just like the game doesn't like you. I do sincerely think that the game just does not like me sometimes. I just have to sort of live with it though. You just have to do your best and see what you can actually achieve. And even then there's a slight variation on the carousel attack, I think. It's pretty wild, all things considered. So it was still throwing things at me that I just had absolutely no idea about. And yet, you would have heard it, but there was Foley there, just that sort of sound effect. Big attacks coming up, so we're getting closer and closer to his Chaos Bomb. Just a lot of references to things spinning around, which I suppose is a clue. But yeah, the annoying random chaos thing just... It's not great. It's really not great. It is kind of interesting, though, that Jevil actually winds up getting more animated as the fight goes on. Even as you're tiring him out, he's showing a lot more energy. He'll be bouncing all over the place by the end of the fight. It's actually kind of cool. So it's just gamble and dodge and find out where the safe spaces are. And there aren't that many of them. I did have to wind up resorting to a fair bit of healing because I was not confident in my dodging ability. And then I got stuck with this attack again, which was not fun. It's like you basically wind up having all your hard work undone the moment everything happens. You try and get a little bit of health back, but because of that irritating mechanic, I probably didn't pay attention. Susie would have been back the next turn, so I should have revived Chris, but Susie had more HP. It's a little sad we don't get any additional defenses, but I was stuck not being able to do anything with Chris. So I just had to soak up the attacks, hope, and go from there. And occasionally dodge well. Which, as I said, I did only occasionally, because I'm still not very good at it. You get locked on certain attacks, and I was getting hammered at this point. Chris was back on their feet, though. And I could at least act and perform pirouette and possibly force things into the next stage of the fight. But yeah, really running low on HP. I probably should have gone back and got more Dark Burgers. But it was kind of a matter of keep Chris alive and keep Ralsei alive. And of course we got screwed over with the carousel getting powered up. Somehow I survived. I was panicking. I'm like one hit away from just losing. And I was freaking out. I really had no idea what to do. But we got some good healing onto Susie. And it looks like we are getting ready for the next stage of the fight. Thankfully, my dodging was okay on this one, even if it is a lot of guesswork. I think depending on what stage of tiredness Jevil has reached, that will determine the attacks Jevil uses. Of course, I'm still guessing a lot. So we're getting little diamond daggers thrown at us, and I've screwed up again. But Chaos Bomb. Basically, I was just looking to try and heal as much as I can. Dodge as many attacks as I can, because I think these do wind up hitting everything. Ralsei went back down again. I just felt like I could not get any momentum. I kind of gambled, and the upcoming attack was hurting it rapidly. But this one is a bit slower. Jevil performs a fake out on this attack, and I'm pretty much alive on 4 HP with one healing item. I had to get Ralsei back in the game. And dodge all these falling knives. Well, they look like scythes, actually. I'm going to be a bit pedantic on that. So we dodged those. I don't know if I was actually taking any damage. But, yes, Jevil was definitely pulling out all the stops. Susie was back. I had no healing items. I just had to heal and hope for the best. We got the useless bird, I got some healing, and we got yet another spread damage attack. 2 party members down. But this was the big moment. Can I do it? Please. What fun! I'm exhausted. You kids tired me up. Now I will sleep for the other 100 years. Unfortunately, you kids cannot have such a pleasant dream. From now, a nightmare will awaken in your hearts. In the shadow of the night's hand. Lightners, can you stop it? Ooh-hee-hee-hee, I've been at this so long, I forgot what voice I gave him. And do your strongest. You got Shadow Crystal. Jevil's tail was added to your armors. That took everything I had. I had to keep Ralsei alive. And ironically enough, after all the frustration, after all the cursing, after all the fact that trying to actually use the mechanics to wear him out kept screwing me over, the fact Ralsei ended up with the most HP saved me. My equipments. Ralsei should probably have the Jevil's tail in all fairness, because Ralsei has the best... Well, that gives us a little bit more. What was the other item I got? Shadow Crystal. A sharp shadow moves like water in... How much... I've got money. Let's go back and talk to Shorm and see what he says. At least I know I gave him an Irish accent. Good lord, that was insane. That was just a test of... That was a test of patience. I hated that, but I'm glad I did it. I still would not know half the bloody patterns. So if we take the door to the field, we are right near Shorm's. Hee hee! Welcome, travelers! About Jevil. He was a funny little man, once the court jester, I, the court magician. A friend? Could I consider him a friend? Perhaps, perhaps not. But he was the only one who matched me in the games we used to play. One day he met a strange someone, and since then he began to change. He started saying bizarre things that didn't completely make sense, but didn't completely not make sense either. Soon he began to see the world as a game and everyone as its participants. As the court mage and his only companion, I was forced to lock him away. Or rather lock us all away, in his own words. Since that time, the strange words he said have stuck inside my cotton. And my view of this world has become darker, yet darker. Reflecting on these old memories, I think perhaps I miss playing games with him. And I wonder, if I hadn't been asked to lock him up, would I have found a little more purpose in my life? We won. You defeated him? You really defeated him? I see. Perhaps you three may truly be heroes after all. But Jevil was just a taste of what you'll face from now on. One day soon, you too will begin to realize the futility of your actions. Ha ha ha! At that time, feel free to come back here. I'll make you tea. And we can toast to the end of the world. Let's buy plenty of dark burgers. So I can sell the glow shard. Well, we should have enough healing now. So we saw what happened with the king. Now we should be able to warp back there and take on that fight. I don't know what episode count I'm at. So let's get ready to go and fight the king. I'll cut back to that. And I'll probably get my butt kicked. I got the Cooper card straight off the bat! Assuming he doesn't just punch them back at you like that. Yes. You know what? Screw Supersonic. I'm using this out of spite. And I'm going to continue to use Robotic Knight because it's one of my favorites.